It is straight up noon, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Minnie's done an amazing job of making it not beep as they're all coming in. I would say good afternoon since it's noon straight up, and good morning to anybody that forgot to adjust their clock this weekend. My name is Robert Lipston, and I am both honored and privileged to be amongst 4 real estate industry experts. And I'm very excited for today's call. Our goal today with our call is to make sure that all of our attendees will walk away from this Zoom meeting with some great deployable information that you'll be able to use either personally or professionally in your business or in the real estate market. We have, once again, some subject matter experts that are going to share with us tips and tricks on our marketplace and how to increase your purchase production. So with that as my welcoming, once again, thank you for showing up for today's call. I'm going to go around the room real quick with our 4 panelists and have them introduce themselves. You all have seen the social media releases, the bios on our registration page. So we're not going to do a canned bio release. We're just going to have them introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with Glenda. Glenda, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I will. Thanks. I am Glenda Krall. I'm with Windermere Alderwood in the Linwood area, and I've been in real estate since 1994, I believe.
Thank you, Glenda. How about Scott Dickinson?
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. My name is Scott Dickinson. I'm the principal managing broker of Coldwell Banker Bain in Linwood and Edmonds. I've worked in the real estate industry my entire professional career. Started out in land use permitting and residential development as an attorney, and then decided to become a recovering attorney about 7 years ago. And now sold real estate and now manage. So thanks.
Thanks, Scott. How about Donnie? Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Donnie Malgrini Logar, and I've been selling real estate since 1989. I'm with Remax Integrity, and I love doing what I'm doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Donnie. And then our other Scott, Scott Batista.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Bautista. I'm with Compass at the Pike Street office in Capitol Hill. I've been selling real estate since 2006.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. Once again, my name is Robert Lipston, and I do get the distinct pleasure of getting to ask the questions today. I am with Flagstar Bank, and I run the Northwest. And I also am a past president of the Washington Mortgage Bankers Association. So once again, we so appreciate your attendance on today's call. So without further ado, we are obviously sitting in one of the hottest marketplaces in the nation. All we hear about in the paper, on the TV, is about lack of inventory, about the appreciating marketplace, affordability, and how quickly homes are going and how many people are making offers. So I'm going to start off with Scott Dickinson. If you could share your knowledge of 2021 in your marketplace.
Yeah, so up here in South Snohomish County, North King County, we are seeing a dramatic both desire to purchase a home and value increases. Last week, I just pulled some rough numbers for my office for our sales meeting. And at the beginning of this month, the first 5 transactions averaged about 5.5% over list price. So the list price to sale price was about 5.5%. Last week, I pulled the same numbers for the last 5 closings that we'll have in March. And the average list price to sales price in those transactions is 14%. So it is the numbers are astonishing at this point. What homes are selling for. Average sales price up in Monroe. I mean, we're looking at $550 Monroe. That's my hometown. It's where I grew up. And then if you come all the way down here to Edmonds, I mean, we're having average sales price of, I think, around 740. Glenda, does that sound about right for you? Yeah, yeah. So it's hot. That's the market. The market's hot. So if you know people who want to sell a house, the brokers that you work with can sell that house. I promise they can sell that house.
Mhm.
Now is the time to sell, it sounds like.
I'm selling
Okay, how
one
about
of my
Donnie?
houses.
Well, there's your first piece of information, team. Those appreciation numbers are incredible. How about you, Donnie? How about your marketplace?
I have to agree. Our numbers are not quite as fast as the 14%, but they're pushing 10% across the board in the South End. And to be honest, I don't know that they're going to not continue with the pricing like that, or the numbers just will, list price will continue to go up and up and up, and buyers are just getting pushed out of the market. So we need inventory.
Okay. And then how about your neck of the woods, Glenda? I know you're up north also. Can you share what's happening in your marketplace?
Well, I do have buyers that, I sell on the east side also, a lot of referrals from past clients, their kids who are ready to buy that work for Google or Microsoft and want to be over there. I am seeing a bit of buyer fatigue out there from all the multiple offers. And usually that is the trend after we go down this road of multiple offers and prices escalating. I can't imagine that we can sustain this for too much longer. I've got buyers who are so traumatized and they're just so tired of the drama every weekend. I mean, they work during the week, so they can't look at a house the very second it comes out and have their inspector in tow at the same time, that they're just going to extend on their apartment for the next 6 months and kind of wait for the market. And I can't tell them that that's a bad idea. I think it is a good idea, actually. I just don't know how long we could sustain these prices. And as a broker who's been in the business a while, I have a real hard time saying to my buyers, yeah, go ahead, make a purchase price 150 over list price on this house here in Snohomish County, because I know these listing brokers are not grossly undervaluing their listings. They're not putting them on at a ridiculously low price. I think they're selling for a ridiculously high price. And my fear is in 5 years, when that homeowner wants to sell their house, they're going to have a rude awakening that, wow, I guess I didn't get really good advice from my buyer's broker to bid 150 over list price. So I'm worried. Some nights I wake up and I think, what's going to happen next? But I am seeing some buyer fatigue, which, instead of 21 offers, I think a homeowner is going to have maybe 5, which can be a good thing.
Well, perfect. I'm going to go into Scott Bautista, and then I'm going to have a follow-up question before I get into some of the mortgage related questions. Scott?
What I'm seeing in my marketplace, and King County is where I usually work mostly, is, a lot of sellers are taking offers earlier than they set a review date, and they're not honoring it. So it's happening a lot. So I would say just stay in touch, with the listing broker very closely, as if you're looking to win. And yeah, that's the main thing, is just stay closely connected to the listing broker right now if you're representing buyers.
Okay. So I know I wanted to get into mortgage, but before I fully swing into questions about how we can capture more business, obviously I heard appreciation factors going way high. I heard Glenda share about instructing people to the offers and how high they should be bidding. So maybe I could do a quick lightning round on 2 pieces. The first would be any tips or tricks when you're preparing to make an offer for our customers that are getting ready to make an offer. And then secondly, are you starting to see appraisal issues, because I'm starting to hear that in the marketplace today of the data is obviously tracking behind the sales that are closing. And are you starting to see the problem with appraisers not being able to comp the actual homes you're selling at the higher prices? Why don't I go ahead and start and go back to Scott Batista, since I just left off with you, Scott.
Yeah, so tips, you said the first question was tips that,
Yes, please.
okay. Yeah, like I said earlier, just staying closely connected with the listing agent and seeing how many offers that they have, because a lot of people are submitting very early and they're being very aggressive. And, we have to present those to the sellers, and sellers are very enticed. I mean, it happened just on my last listing here in Bothell. We took an offer early because it was crazy over asking. So a lot of the agents were like, sorry, I should have been in touch with you before, because they were preparing to submit an offer. So yeah, if you don't want your buyers to miss out, you got to call them first day it gets on the market and keep getting updates on how many offers are coming in. And the next question with appraisals, I had 2 issues already in the last week, low appraisals. It's happening for sure. Yeah, so it really depends on how you structure your offer. And yeah, I mean, it's happening, these low appraisals. I didn't think it would, but this market is just appreciating way too fast for these appraisers to get these prices up.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for the tips. How about we'll go to Donnie next.
My advice would be to make the offers as clean and straightforward as possible, because the sellers, I'm not saying sellers aren't intelligent, but they get overwhelmed when people try to get too fancy with things. Make good, clean, solid offers, and set them up for the fact that there can be appraisal issues, so that they're not getting upset with you ahead of time. Say, yeah, let's go for the gusto, but let's be realistic. No, don't spend the money right now. And the 22 AD seems to be helping out to make everybody a little bit calmer and get through the transactions better.
Okay, good stuff. How about you, Glenda?
Well, over the last year, since we've had this buyer frenzy in multiple offers, when my buyer occasionally doesn't get the offer because someone's beat them out, I have offered to be in a backup position, because sometimes that first buyer sleeps on it, wakes up the next morning and says, what the heck did I just do? And I have put together a couple of transactions over the last 365 days that were successful because of that. I think that's really important, just to encourage a buyer. You might want to do that. I do try to make friends with the listing broker. I mean, I've been a listing broker, and when people call me, I will talk to them as a listing broker. If there's just one thing that's really frustrating, it's these brokers who are, in my opinion, riding the wave as a listing broker, and they don't return calls. They don't want to talk to you. They've got a listing and they're king. So I just encourage any broker out there that has asked me, what do you do when you list a house? It's like, be nice. Just be nice to people when they call you. Answer their calls or texts or emails, and communicate with them, because we're all in this together. Those of us that have been around and who are committed to our business and aren't just in it to ride this crazy wave right now. And who knows, that those brokers that are riding the wave will be selling timeshares in the Cayman Islands when they open that place up again. So I say, just, be nice. Be nice to everybody. You'd be surprised how far you can get.
Okay, thanks for that information and tip. How about Scott Dickinson up north? How about those 2 questions, sir?
Yeah. So tips on winning was the first question, I believe. And to win an offer, if you're representing a buyer, okay, we're going to put it from the buyer's perspective. like Donnie said, a clean offer. And I guess more definitively, what is a clean offer? A clean offer is an offer that has minimal or eliminated any and all conditions or contingencies. So we're submitting offers that don't have an inspection. They most likely at this point don't have a financing contingency. And if they do, then we have funds that will make up the difference in a potential low appraisal. So moving into the appraisal question, the 22 AD was mentioned, which is an additional down payment form so that a buyer can come in and say, hey, this house only comps out at 650, but we're offering you 8. And we see that it only comps out at 650. So we're going to write into our contract an additional $150,000 in order to make up any difference so that we are closing at the purchase price and not the appraised price. And building off of what Glenda said about the being nice, fundamentally, every single one of us in this meeting today is in the relationships business. That's what we do. We build relationships. And by building relationships, we are serving our clients, because it is remarkable how far you can go in this business by, just like Linda said, by being nice to people, just by being friendly and letting them know that you're there for them and that you care. I think that goes a long way in what we do on a daily basis. And in all factors, fundamentally, real estate is a relationships business.
Okay, that was great stuff. I appreciate the share. I actually was looking for some data that I'll share with you guys here in a minute. But as I transition this now to where we're going to be talking a little bit more about the mortgage space. And the reason why I'm doing this is you guys are 4 subject matter experts at working with buyers and real estate mortgage professionals. And the majority of our audience on this call are mortgage professionals. And our goal with this meeting is, when we walk away from this call, that we have these deployable items in our quivers to be able to use so that we can do more purchase business and increase our productivity working with all of you. So with that said, I was going to share, and I couldn't find it right this second, the Department of Financial Institutions just printed the number of loan officers in the state of Washington. And from 2020 to 2021, we increased the number by over 20% of the number of loan officers that got into the market in the last year. So really, there is a large pie. But my goal is really, from your guys' opinions, how we do more business with you. But before we actually totally go into the mortgage piece, what I want to hear is you all are successful professionals in the real estate field. Is there a daily discipline? Is there something consistently you've done over your careers that you can share with us that has made you successful? A daily discipline, a marketing item, or something that we could deploy in our business, or that you do that makes you highly successful? And I'll start, since you went last, Scott Dickinson, I'll start with you.
Okay. I don't necessarily have a daily discipline. I probably should. But I think that one way to be successful in this business is to differentiate yourself from the herd. And for me, I can say that I have leaned on and leveraged my education to propel me in the direction that my career has taken. And what do I mean by that is that I don't hide the fact that I have a Juris Doctorate and that I'm an attorney. I use it to my advantage. Now, I don't practice law for my clients or for this organization, Coldwell Banker Bain. I'm not an attorney for anyone, but by leveraging my experiences, it builds credibility. And to build credibility in this industry, you need to, one way to do that is to stand out from the herd.
Thank you. So people will always pay for knowledge and wisdom.
Yep.
So I love that. Okay, How about if we go to Glenda?
Yeah, I really do agree with what Scott said. Knowledge is power. Let's face it, the more you know, the more you can articulate about current market trends and what's going on in the mortgage world. I work with a lot of clients who I've had for 20 some years, and they purchased several homes from me, and then have referred their children, or now that they've downsized. So a lot of my business is repeat business at this point in my career. But one thing I do consistently is reach out to my clients. I send them handwritten notes. When I first, if I had been doing all the things I do now at the beginning of my career, I probably would have been retired by now. But I have, over the last 10 to 15 years, have been very deliberate in reaching out to past clients, keeping up with them, just letting them know what's going on out there. And it's funny how many times I've had somebody call me back and say, you know what? Thanks for that information about investment property. I think I need to buy something for my kids to live in while they're going to college. So exactly what Scott said, knowledge is power out there. The more you know, and the more you keep yourself versed on what's trending out there and what's important to our clients, I think the more successful you're going to be.
Thanks, Glenda. Great stuff. How about if we go to Donnie? She looks like, oh, there she goes.
Okay, I agree with Scott and Glenda. Knowledge is amazing to have, but I guess you're asking about the one key thing that I do, and that is when I'm with my clients, I'm with my clients and I focus on them and I communicate with them, and I, focusing on them, making them realize that they're what's important right now has really been what I think has been getting me the repeat business that I appreciate so much. But you're everything when you're with me. So that's my key. I can't hear you, Robert.
Sorry about that. That's awesome considering we're in technology era. So Scott Bautista, would you like to share a tip or trick or a daily discipline that you do on a daily basis that makes you highly successful?
What I do is I'm into meditation. That's one of the daily disciplines that I do have, at least 30 minutes a day. Just gets my mind, aligned with everything, and helps me, visualize and create also at the same time, which I feel has helped me succeed in my career. And also working out as well, the gym. I do CrossFit about five days a week. So those are disciplines that I feel like will help.
Great. Okay, so now that we learned a little bit from all of you what your daily disciplines are, as I change the rudder so we start walking away with some of these tips and tricks, what would be, can you share one tip that a mortgage professional that is seeking to increase their referrals from a seasoned real estate agent or anyone in the real estate world, what would that one tip be for someone to get more referrals? How about if we start with, I'm going to go to, mix it up a little bit, go to Glenda.
One thing that's really important to me is that I have access to the loan rep I'm working with 24/7, much like myself, unfortunately. And I've been very fortunate. The loan reps I do work with and give all my business to are very good at getting that pre-approval letter off, or calling up the listing broker immediately for me, or just being accessible. If I've got a question, I can text them or email them. They can text me a quick information back. But I would say that just being available, if you want to be a real estate broker's best friend, be available all the time. And someday it won't be like this, but it is like this now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I learned in the business that money doesn't sleep. I heard that the first day on the job. So how about Scott Dickinson? How about, is there something, a tip that you can share with the audience?
I would say that one of the biggest ways that you can build a referral business is to be in strong communication with the brokers that you have existing transactions with. And what do I mean by that? I mean, brokers love to get information and love to get updates. They want to know exactly what's going on with their client's loan application, where are they at in the whole process. There's one lender who does a weekly BombBomb video to all their clients to give them an update as to what's going on with the transactions. You're gonna have brokers falling over their feet in love with you if you can put out constant communications, giving them updates on their clients' loans.
Great stuff, Scott. Thank you. How about Scott Batista? Is there something that the one tip that you would give mortgage professionals to get more referrals?
You know, I'm huge into social media, so that's one tip I could say is building your Instagram would be really helpful. I see more loan officers doing it now, and it hasn't, you know, been pushed out by many, but I'm starting to see more do it. But building content and having people see it daily, you know, is going to help you get referrals. And I just feel with this pandemic that just happened, you know, everybody's on social media, they're on their phone. So it's a good way to get your face out there, and it's free.
Okay, that's great stuff. And my next question is going to segue into that, but I want to go to Donnie because this is super important. I love to hear everybody's tip here because we're all ears at this point. Donnie, how about a tip for us?
Well, I have to agree with the communication from everybody else. That's huge. But I think the other thing that clients appreciate more than anything is patience when they're asking questions about their mortgage. And when they've come back for the third time because they're writing another offer, the patience and the lender explaining all the costs and fees and everything else. It just makes such a difference when the buyer is comfortable, they're willing to move forward, and they have no hesitations, but they need the patience from the lender and the explanation that they can give them to make that all go together.
Awesome. Okay. If you don't mind, I'm going to go back to you, Donnie, and shift it to marketing. Would you mind sharing anything, maybe a success story on a marketing piece or strategy that a mortgage company or loan originator has used that has caught your eye where you've engaged that person or company? Basically, was there a shiny object that caught your attention and got you to contact that person or company? Do you mind sharing?
I don't mind sharing. I think there's not been a shiny object that's drawn me to any one person per se. What's drawn me to people is when there's been presentations in our office and then the opportunity to sit down and talk with that lender and really, you know, find out if we connect. The ability to chat with them and connect with them and know that we're on the same page is really what's kept my business and the lenders that I work with up front and center.
Okay, that's great. Obviously harder this year, but it's great. How about you, Glenda? Is there something that marketing wise that has caught your eye or a success story that people that they could deploy in their business?
Well, you know, like Donnie said, having a mortgage broker in the office that I worked in was really helpful. And when he left to go to another company, I mean, I've stayed with him over the past 15 years. But what I'm noticing lately, and you said there were, I don't know what I don't remember the amount, but there's a lot of new mortgage brokers out there. And I would say the last thing you should do is have your assistant call a mortgage, or call a real estate broker and try to get your business on a unavailable phone line. If you want new business, don't do it that way. I've had 3 calls today on phone numbers that are unavailable from some loan officer's assistant who wants to know if I'd like to sit down and have coffee with them. And I'm busy, number one. And number two, I don't feel really important at that point. So I've got good relationships with the people I'm working with right now. Eventually, somebody's going to retire along the way, and I am going to be looking for somebody. So I would tell you how not to do it that way, I guess. There's nothing shiny we really need. It is a relational business. And I think being a little bit more relational would be very helpful.
Do you mind clarifying a little bit what you meant by unavailable? Did they call you from a blind line?
Yeah, a blind line. You know, a lot of times when you get calls, your mortgage broker's name shows up on the phone, and I get these phone calls that they don't say potential spam like sometimes they do. They just say unavailable, and it might have an area code of 253. And the times that I've answered them, sure enough, it's been somebody who's called me every month for the last couple of months wanting to know if so-and-so can meet me for coffee to discuss business. And it's, to me, that's unprofessional. And I don't want to work with somebody who's non-professional.
Okay, well, that's an awesome tip. How about Scott Dickinson? How about marketing wise, something that you have seen or has helped you find a new lender or caught your eye?
I've worked with the same lender since I got in this business. He's on this call today, Richard Hobson with Axia. And I have no intention of switching from Richard. He's done phenomenal work personally for me, for my clients, other brokers' clients, and the rest of my family. So Richard's my go-to guy. But when it comes to marketing, less is more. And when I say that, I mean, what you're sending out needs to be able to be read in about 3 seconds. So people need to look at it. The information that you're trying to communicate needs to just be right there. Like, so if it's about, let's say, FHA loans, then just put it out there, like the 7% that just happened last week. Put that out there, but let the broker reach back out to you for additional information. So get just the headline out so that it pops in their brain, and if they're curious, they'll reach out to you to get more information.
Perfect. And I love the commitment and partnership that you just shared with us. Thank you for that commitment to our industry. We appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to Scott Batista, and I'm excited about this one because you just said Instagram and you said social media and how important that was. So I'm just gonna love to hear this success story or something where you've engaged somebody based on Instagram or social media or a marketing item. Go ahead, Scott.
As far as a loan officer?
Yes. Is there something that a mortgage company, a loan originator has done on social media, marketing, etc., that has caught your eye to engage them?
Oh yeah, definitely. I just see their content out there, and it just gives me a reminder of who's really in the business doing it every day, and they reach out and they also engage with my content as well. So it just reminds me to stay in touch and use them because I've used them in the past. And it's just like a relationship based partnership, supporting each other's content. And getting each other's, name out there. So collaborating is amazing on social media with other lenders.
Okay. It is, yeah, I really like, because obviously everybody attends social media, webinars. We are all trying to do videos and Instagram, and we're all trying to do relevant, timely subject matter sharing. So I just want to hear, just because you did bring that up, has there been like actual where you've seen someone's content or you've seen something that pops out that it has allowed you to pick up the phone and engage somebody, or is it just allowing them to stay relevant in the back of your mind?
I would say it allows them to stay relevant in the back of my mind, just seeing their posts that they make daily. So
Got ya. Okay,
yeah,
thank you for sharing. I'm not trying to beat you up. I just think that's
no worries.
awesome to hear you dig into that. Okay, so my next question is about strategies. So if you were to engage a loan officer, is there a strategy that you believe you could share that would help them do more business with you? And what I mean by that is, I'll read the question. This came from one of our listeners. Would you, share a strategy for how a loan originator can help you build your business? So obviously you have your daily disciplines, you have your marketing strategy, you have the way you do business. How can we help you? Let's start with Donnie.
The best way, in my opinion, for them to help me build my business is to always present ourselves as a team and making everything go forward as a team. It's working.
Okay, that's good.
No, it's.
So how about Glenda?
I would say you're only as good as the people who work around you, so make me look good. And that's really important to me. I always do try to get feedback back from my buyers after the transaction's said and done. And it's important for me to find out what they liked or disliked from the particular lender that they worked with. Was there too much information given? Did they feel overwhelmed? And then I do give that feedback to my loan rep at the same time. So I think they'll be more honest with me sometimes than filling out that survey to the actual lender. So I do engage them. And that's why I'm consistent with the loan reps I do work with, is because they're good at what they do and they do make me look good. I mean, you're only as good as the team around you when you're out there selling real estate.
Great stuff. Okay, how about Scott Dickinson?
The question's ideas that help brokers build their business. And I think that a way to do this with, let's say, newer licensees, so newer brokers, let's say in the business for 2 years or less, educate them on what they don't know, and then help them exploit that. So first-time homebuyer seminars, partner with them. Tell them that together you guys can put these on and educate first-time homebuyers. Offer to partner with them to do a 20-minute Zoom coffee talk on down payment assistance programs. Offer to them the ability to go to senior centers and talk about, phases and transitions in life, and how, as real estate professionals, we can help that demographic within our communities. So I think educating them on ways that they can get business that they may not already know, and then partnering with them so that you both leverage that to get new business.
Okay, can I put you on the spotlight for a second? Scott
Sure.
Dickinson.
Sure.
What would happen if that person that offered to do that wasn't your current lender that you're committed to since you started in your career. So they brought to you a fresh, new, great idea that your current lender isn't offering you. Would you
Okay.
go to the senior center with the new lender? Would you do a first-time home buyer class, etc.?
What I don't sell anymore, so no. So my job isn't to sell real estate anymore. So would I do that? No. Would I encourage? But if I was going to answer this question as a real estate broker, okay, money talks.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We do what we do because we're passionate about it and we love serving others. But at the end of the day, our job is to close sales. And if a mortgage lender comes to me as a real estate broker and says, hey, we can put on these classes. And, you know, I partnered with Johnny 2 months ago and we were able to pick up three buyers from this. And they've just closed. And Johnny, he just increased his GCI by 55 grand. Otherwise, he wouldn't have got that. Do you want to make 55 grand? Like money. It's break it down into money. Yeah, they're going to say yes. And, you know, might I cheat on Richard for 55,000? I don't know.
Great stuff. Thank you. I appreciate your candor.
Oh yeah.
Okay. How about I'm sorry if I mess up the order. Scott Batista.
Yeah, for me, I would say sharing my content would be very big for me because not too many lenders do that. So if you're on Instagram, you should be sharing your realtors content, and that'll increase both of your, you know, your followings because everybody knows different people. So we have our own networks, and the more you're out, you know, in different networks, the more business you'll get.
That's awesome. Thank you. I do have 2 other questions, and then I want to hand it over to the audience. The first is, maybe we can answer this in a twofold. The first part of it is, when I ask you is, how many of the clients that come in your door are pre-approved and have either met or had a conversation with a mortgage lender? And then secondly, I had somebody post, which is very true, is if a lender brings you a pre-approved buyer, if you could react to that and what that means to you. And I'll start with you, Scott, since you talked last. So first of all is, how many of your clients come in if and ready to go, or they still need a mortgage lender? And then secondly, how many of your lenders are bringing you pre-approved buyers? And if they do, what does that mean to you? Go ahead, Scott.
I would say 90% of first-time home buyers do not have a pre-approval. But half of buyers who are buying and selling, they probably have already talked to their financial institution. Do they have a pre-approval letter? I don't know. Have they researched it enough because they've already been through the process to know that the loan is the most important part of the transaction? Yes. And what was the second part? I'm sorry.
What is, if a lender brings you a pre-approved buyer?
Yep.
What does that mean to you from future business aspect? How often is it happening, etc.?
Ooh, well, like I said, I don't sell anymore, so this is the how often it happens
Sure.
is really better for someone else. What it means to the brokers is they're making more money that they otherwise wouldn't have been making, and so they're grateful for a lender bringing a pre-approver to them. And the thing about this whole, like, bringing one client, that could very easily in a 10-year period equate to 3 transactions if the real estate broker and the lender are doing their job right and they're following up and they're building relationships and they're continuing that relationship after closing. Okay, just because you hand someone the keys, that should be the indication of the beginning of your relationship, not the end of it.
Great tip. CRM is important. I agree. How about Scott Batista?
So for what was the first question again? Sorry.
What is the percentage of your buyers have been pre-approved or have engaged a real estate professional before meeting with you?
You know, I would say about 75% are already pre-approved. But I do still recommend my partners, my mortgage partners to them so they could compare and see. And a lot of them do switch.
So your recommendation is very powerful, it sounds like. I
I
love
would
it.
say,
Go ahead, sorry.
oh yeah. And as far as lender giving me a pre-approved buyer, you know, I don't remember if I ever had one, honestly. So it would mean a lot, honest. It would be awesome to have a pre-approved buyer from a lender to work with. So
Good stuff. Thank you. How about Glenda?
As much as I love the water bottles I get from my lenders, I really like the referrals even better. And it does go back to that team approach, that we are a team. And when I get a pre-approved buyer from a lender, whoa, that is a win-win situation in my opinion, because like Scott Batista said, I think it's 75, 25, 75% come to me already pre-approved with somebody. But if they're working with a company I'm not familiar with, or I've had a bad experience with, and there are those out there, we can agree we've had bad experiences with, I do convert them over to the lender that I work with, one of the several lenders I work with, because I feel like I have more control and I have more credibility with that listing broker out there. So yeah, about 75% come to me pre-approved. And I would say often half of those end up converting over to the lender that I want to work with, or are already working with the lender that I work with.
Part of the team. I love it. How about Donnie?
I'm going to say about 50% of the people have spoken with a lender already. Most of the time, they end up going back with my lender unless they're new construction, and that doesn't usually work that way. As far as receiving the referrals, that is, as Glenn said, fantastic and greatly appreciated, and it just reinforces the relationship that we have.
Great. I do have somebody from the audience who has put a question out to us, and that is it likely that a borrower that is paying cash will always win over someone who is financing? I know personally, I shared before we got on here, I have a friend that is offered full cash on a property and he is not being accepted yet. So, and that's way over asking price. So let's start with Glenda. Cash versus financing. What's your thought?
It's the bottom line is, how much is that seller going to put in their pocket? I mean, a good mortgage broker can close in 21 days. Everything seems so streamlined right now. And since buyers are waiving inspections and appraisals, then actually cash is not as important. I mean, it is important. It's wonderful to have a cash buyer, but it doesn't often, as much as it used to, trump the buyer who's got financing attached to them.
Good information. Thank you. How about you, Donnie?
I agree that it's not, cash doesn't always win. It's what the whole price and terms and what the seller is going to get at the end of the day.
Okay, Scott, as a broker, if your agents bring you, ask for advice, they have two borrowers, one is finance, one is cash. What are the check boxes that you do when you educate them on what to accept?
First thing they need to do is call the lender to confirm that the financed offer is closable, so that they speak to the lender and that they get that confirmation that there's going to be no problem getting this loan closed. And then we have to look at all the other terms within the purchase and sale agreement. Is there an inspection contingency? All right. Have they waived appraisal? How are they releasing earnest money early? There's like a whole host of factors that will go in to weighing which offer is stronger, but most importantly of those factors is viability of closing. So if we're on equal footing and that, you know, the lender is 99.9% sure that this loan is going to close, then, you know, it really comes down to who has the more favorable terms.
Thank you so much for that. Scott Batista.
You know, I'm going to keep it short. I agree with what all of the panelists said. You know, I'm nothing different from what they said. So everything that they said was on point.
So it's 12:51 and we have 9 minutes left on our Zoom engagement. And the one thing I have said over and over, and I so appreciate you four that are sharing your wisdom and your expertise. It's super important for us to be able to, number one, be better than we were when we got on this call and be able to walk away with some tips or tricks or ideas. And I so value everything you all have shared. I wouldn't mind just running through quickly if there's anything, you know, it always shows up. My last question is about the bubble, of course. And I would rather than talk about the bubble, walk away with something that everybody on this call would just say, wow, that was awesome. Because you're all subject matter experts. You're all in the market all day, every day, whether it's a customer or a loan officer or somebody trying to get in the business. What is something that you would like to share with the audience if you have anything? Glenda, do you have anything you'd like to share with this group?
You know, I have had such a good experience over the last 10 years, especially with the mortgage brokers I work with. I am really happy with a lot of the programs that they have out there. I think something that's important to think about is there is a lot of talk and speculation on the horizon that we're going to be seeing buyers actually paying their brokers their commissions to represent them. And so my thought is, should we start talking about ways to finance that with lenders? It is out there, and I think we're inching our way over to the fact that a buyer is going to have to somehow come up with whatever percentage that is to have their real estate professional represent them. And so can we think outside the box? I mean, there's lots of innovative ways that loan programs are being created. Inman News had this huge article today about financing being different in the near future. So I guess I would just like to see us explore that and actually have the dialogue now instead of waiting till we get to that point. And it has to happen.
Glenda, the future is now. This last weekend, we had the buyer financed the commissions into their purchase of their new home because the seller refused to pay commissions.
See, there you are. Yeah, exactly.
So can I follow up that real quick before I go to the rest of people? Are you saying they financed above the purchase price to do that, or they just lowered their down payment or took it out of their own money?
However we can make that work, I guess. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to the person who's getting paid how their buyer came up with that amount of money. But I do think, like Scott said, I guess it is here. I mean, we have to think about that now that we are actually disclosing on, you know, to the public what that buyer's broker is getting paid. The very next step is, you know, hey, buyer, hey, I'm not going to pay that. I'm a seller and you pay it for your own representation. So to me, it doesn't matter one way or the other how you can do it, but we need to find a way to do it.
In our circumstance, they increased the purchase price. So it was $700. They increased the purchase price to $714 to cover the buyer's broker's 2%.
Got you. Okay. I only have a couple minutes left, and this is a really good question that Tony Blodgett just brought up. Thanks, Tony. When you receive an offer, do you guys lean, As a listing agent, how do you feel about FHA or VA offers versus a conventional offer? If you're not in a jumbo marketplace or it's not a jumbo loan, do you guys weigh that in your decisioning on acceptance of offers? Is the product mix used? How about, I'll go north real quick. Just Scott Dickinson, you're north, or Glenda. Let's start with Scott Dickinson. I asked you about the checklist. Does product come into that at all?
So I have to be really careful how I answer this question, because we can't be seen to in any way discriminate against our veterans. But if the question is, if there is a low down payment or a no down payment product or offer that is being compared against a conventional loan with 20% down, 95% of the time, the conventional loan is going to win. Does that answer?
Thank you for being real.
Yeah. And that's the reality.
How about Glenda?
Yeah, I agree
Okay.
with Scott. That's pretty much what we are seeing. You know, the seller is going to go with the strongest buyer out there who can actually give them a copy of their bank account with their numbers blacked out and show that they do have the down payment in that account. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, I don't like this. I hate it. It's not right and it's not fair, but it is the way the market is right now. And so I try to manage buyers' expectations when I do have a VA or an FH buyer. I try to manage that expectation. You know, maybe you want to wait a little bit until the market cools off and, you know, you're looked at as a buyer instead of a cash machine to a seller.
Mm-hmm. I've started coaching my brokers into having conversations with their clients that this might not be the right market for them, and that buying a home is unlikely to be in the cards in the next several months for them, and just set realistic expectations.
Okay, that's good information. We did have a share, which is very true, and that is that, just so you're aware, the VA does go into the jumbo loan limits. So you'll start seeing more and more VA in that bucket too. So, and that obviously is the minimum down payment requirements, if any. It's 12:58. And I just, for the sake of Donnie or Scott Batista, either one of you have anything you'd like to share quickly before I sign off and thank everybody? Donnie, how about we start with you?
I'm looking at my notes as everybody else was speaking. I guess one thing that I would like to say is that we do try to educate our clients on the FHA and VA loans, especially as the sellers, because it's very important that they understand the whole process on that. To me, that's really important, but that's important. We have to make sure we try to educate the sellers in that information. The second thing is, you asked about what we appreciate from our lenders, and I appreciate the ones that look outside the box, but I also appreciate the lenders that don't take just the cream of the crop. The buyer that might need a little bit of coaxing on how to get their credit up or do some savings and things like that, and that we can work with 3 months or a year from now, and they're going to stay in the pipeline and they're going to be checked in on. Those are the ones that you'll have for life because you help them get to where they want to be.
Great information. Thank you for that. How about Scott Batista?
Yeah, I mean, as far, what was the last part they were talking about? Sorry, the last question.
Just anything. Is there anything tidbit that you want to share before I wrap up the call?
No, I mean, just get on social media and get your following up, get your content, create content, and just get out there and do that.
Okay. So I would like to say this. I heard a lot on this call today. I walked away with a notepad of deployable items that I so appreciate. But I heard the word team. And I just want to say that it is so important as an organization. And when you look at the regulators and you look at DC, they want us all as one industry to have the voice together. And I just so appreciate our 4 panelists' time, their knowledge and their wisdom they shared, but also the fact that we are one team. We're navigating one of the craziest markets, the craziest market that I've seen since I've been in it since 1987. And we're all trying to help the final person, and that is the consumer with the dream of homeownership. So I'll sign off the call by saying thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment to the Washington Mortgage Bankers Association. Thank you to our panelists. But most of all, we make a difference every day in people's lives. And we're professionals. And let's be professional, let's be teammates, and let's get out there and make the dream of home ownership happen. So thank you guys. It's now 1:01. I went over. And thank you. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you at our next event.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You.